All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Just wait until a thumb went up. Hopefully, we're coming through. Fingers when you start these live streams through your phone, it'll say you're live, but then sometimes you go back and watch the video, and it didn't actually become live until you were already talking for a minute. So, assuming we're live, again, sweet lady, she recently finished school, and she recently got her first job, and it was just today that she got her first pay stub stipend. And the money actually won't go in her bank account until tomorrow, but she just got her breakdown for what she gets paid and how much is taxes. And she's blown away by how much she has to pay in taxes. She just can't believe it. It's about a third of, her paycheck. And that's true for most Americans. And, Washington State, where we are, doesn't even have an income tax. It could be worse. She could have taxes taken out from the state. Of course, Washington has sales tax and property tax and a gazillion other taxes. But yeah, she is just dumbfounded because, again, she's been a student her whole time. So anyway, she's just blown away by how big of a percentage of her check goes to taxes. And again, I mean, isn't it amazing to think that this nation was founded on people trying to get away from the taxation of the Catholic Church? Again, that's what Martin Luther's 95 Theses is about. Indulgences and all the fees the church would make the people pay. And again, it's no secret who runs the U.S. government. The same architectures all over the city of Washington, D.C. that was once known as Rome on the Potomac. Again, look it up. That's what the land was called in D.C. before it was Washington, D.C. It was Rome on the Potomac. And again, the landholder who gifted the land so they could put the government headquarters there, his name was Francis Pope. And aren't we living at the most interesting time with Pope Francis? But yeah, that's what I've been talking about for years. And, the good news about this is, honestly, you guys, I want to fight for America. But the thing is, America does not want to fight for itself. The American people are gone. They are MIA, missing in action. And they're just along for the ride. But, yeah, I've been telling Sweet Lady for a while that the best idea might be to leave America. And of course, we just moved to a new place so she can be closer to work. And I imagine we will be here for a while. But again, I mean, that's why I was saying years ago, you guys, we need to stand up for ourselves, our rights, our liberties, how much we're having to pay in taxes. It is insanity. Again, it's why there's a ruling class that doesn't work a day in their life. All they do is siphon the wealth from all of us. Again, it's amazing that people don't wake up to it, but it is tough too when you get a job, right? And they just pull the taxes out from you before you even get your paycheck. That's the nice thing about being self-employed. It gives you a chance to cheat on your taxes, which I would encourage everyone to do who can, because you're not committing some sin. Here we are in the time of Yom Kippur, atonement for your sins. Cheating the government out of tax revenue is not a sin. It's more of a sin to pay taxes to this government, because what does it do with our money? Turn on the news right now. Right now, we're firing test missiles as a threat to North Korea after their test missile. How much is that costing the taxpayers? I'm sure if we could see the bill for the test missile show, I'm sure it's in the tens of millions of dollars. Could have spent that money to fix a neighborhood in the U.S. that's been, dilapidated for the last 30, 40 years. But that's not what our tax money goes to. It goes to things like Ukraine and the next New World Order project. But yeah, it really is disgusting the way we're used and abused. And it's even more disgusting that more people don't stand up and make a fuss about these things. I would just think back to, if we could rewind time, how many people now would go back on what I said in 2015? I in a way, I wish I would have just done it myself, and then maybe more people would have come. But again, if you weren't here in 2015, I was saying, let's all just sell all of our property that we have, and let's go back and buy Detroit for pennies on the dollar, and let's take over these abandoned blocks, rebuild them, turn the yards into gardens, have a community, and tell the government, F you, we're not paying any taxes. We're self-sufficient here. You left this land abandoned, big corporation, outsourced. And with all the General Motors and all the jobs that were outsourced, These communities were abandoned. We came back and we made it something. And we don't want anything to do with your government. And we don't want to pay any of your taxes. Imagine a community that got so self-sufficient it set up its own sewer and water. It could all be done. Because, I mean, these are the things that they say we're paying taxes for the sewer, for the water, for the roads. It can't be this expensive. It can't be this expensive. We know it's not. Again, like I just said, they siphon all this money from us. You know, it's Donald Rumsfeld saying, oops, we lost $2.3 trillion of your tax money. But where did it really go? You know, to the ruling class? To set up Amazon so it could take over the world? Seriously, this is the type of things that happened. Amazon was blowing up at that same moment in history. Back then, people only bought books on Amazon. Now they sell everything. But yeah, so anyhow, sweet lady, I'm here to work. I'll pick her up here in a second, and she'll come in here and she'll vent about finding out how much of her paycheck has to go to taxes. And it's just a crock, man. And then anytime they need money for new schools, your taxes go up even higher. And it's like, why are we, again, I always present the model of India and China. They spend next to nothing on their students for school. And despite spending next to nothing, they have way more intelligent people. So do you need to spend a lot of money to have bright students? No, not at all. Again, almost every high-paying job in the U.S. is not going to an American. It's going to someone from India or China who went through an education system that cost nothing. It was next to nothing. So, again, America is just a big scam. Everything's a big lie. Fancy school buildings don't breed good students. And, yeah. So, again, I just want to keep putting it out there. When are we going to come together and stand up against all this crap? And understand there was a number of years where I was not complying at all with the system. And again, to do that, you have to be in the world of cash. And that's another world they're getting rid of. You know, what I was doing years ago when I was pretty much avoiding all tax obligations is I was just living in the world of cash. Because if all your transactions are cash, you know, the government doesn't know what's going on. And that is the reason they're moving us to the cashless society as well. I'm sure there's still tons of people in this country that live that way and avoid their tax obligation. Again, there's no tax obligation. You don't owe anything to this country. This country is nothing but a big exploiter of human beings. But, yeah, I was living that way for a while. And, you know, that there was a day the auditors came out to my house and I had to do a very good job of telling stories. And I did avoid what could have been a hot mess because, again, if you don't pay taxes, we're ruled over by tyrants. If you don't comply with their rules, they'll put you in a cage. And then they'll turn you into slave labor. But that's also not right. So, again, I guess ultimately what I'm saying to you is be self-employed, because being self-employed does give you a much greater opportunity to cheat on your taxes. You know, you have to do all your own records. Of course, again, once everything goes cashless, even having your own business, you'll be under the radar. But that's something else to think about. If you can help stop this cashless society they're trying to build, you know, do that. Tricky thing at this day and age because almost everybody's on direct deposit, cards. I mean, you could work a whole year and not even see a dollar bill. It just goes in digital amounts into your account. But yeah, this country is something else, man. It's something else. It's something else that they make us go through 13 years of slave school and learn about things like, you know, the Boston Tea Party, the rebellion against the overtaxation. Imagine what they were paying in taxes back then compared to today. You can guarantee today it's 10 times worse, if not even more than that. Could be 100 times worse. But yeah, it really isn't right when you think about it. I mean, almost everybody's in the same thing. A third of their paycheck is just going to the government. I mean, just think about that. You don't think you're a slave? A third of your labor goes to the government. You know, again, over the course of a year, it's like for 4 months of your grind, it wasn't even for you, it was for the government. And then the government chooses what to do with those funds, and they love to pass it on to their fat cat buddies who've never worked a day in their life. Yeah. Again, and they tell us that all these countries are so terrible. Again, some of these countries that they told us are so terrible, so communist, these people are paying way less in taxes than we are. So, here, let me check in with the chat real quick. Who's got some good ideas on how to avoid the tax obligation? I see you guys are talking about Derek's calculator update. Again, if you guys don't like Derek's calculator update, again, give it some time. I'm sure he'll fix out the bugs that are in it. But again, don't get... Whoops, I hit the wrong button there. I was trying to get rid of the notifications. Instead, I closed the screen. But yeah, I'm sure whatever you guys don't like about Derek's calculator, he will improve it. But really, to me, it's just about the same. It looks a little bit fancier. Derek's website is gematriaEffectNews.com. So the calculator's there, his blog is there, his links to everything are there, his YouTube channel. My girlfriend's husband turned his name into an LLC. I wonder why. A limited liability corporation? I don't know. I don't know why you would change your name into that. That's interesting. Learn about trust, own nothing, control it. Yeah, there is always more to learn. But yeah, for all you young people, for all you young people out there, this is what I would do if I were you. This whole thing about going to college, I would skip that. Unless there's some degree you want, because there's some profession you know you want and you need a degree. Unless there's something very specific like that, like you know you need this degree to get this job that you've already have planned out. Unless you're that person, I would not go to college. Trade school, trade school, trade school. Go to trade school and learn a trade. It costs a fraction of college, a tiny fraction. And then it takes about half as much time, if not less than that. Could be a quarter of the time. Could be 1 to 2 years instead of 4 to 5 years, or, you know, you go and get master's degree, all this, you can spend way more time in college. But most people graduate from college in 4 to 5 years. But go to trade school, learn a trade that you think you would like, and it can be anything from, you know, electrician, a plumber, it could be a hairstylist. Learn something that you think you'll like doing. There's several different trades, a mechanic. Learn this, and if you need to work under somebody at first to get experience and maybe save up some money, do that, but save your money and then start your own business. I mean, if you graduate high school at age 18, and let's say you go and study and become an electrician, you'll probably be in school for about 2 years, training, working under somebody. Then you can get a job as an apprentice, maybe another 2 years. So you might put in 4 years like a college student, right? But by the end of that 4 years, you'll have enough skills and know-how to start your own business. You'll have been making money. You won't have a ton of debt from what you learned. And you know what? There's a lot of programs because they need people with trade skills. You might be able to get your whole education paid for. You might not have to pay a single dime. But the thing is, I mean, if you're smart, you know, you might be 22, 23 years old, and you might be able to start your own business, and you're an electrician. I mean, depending on what city you're in, your hourly rate, you know, here in a poorer town, electrician rate's probably still $80 an hour. If you're living in a place like New York City, it's probably $120 an hour. You can already be making a monster salary like that right out of school, and you got this awesome skill. I mean, the thing is, if you have trade skills, then once you start saving up some money, electrician's the perfect person to go into an old property, update the electrical, you know, put a coat of paint on the house, fix up a few things, and you know, flip a home. And the next thing you know, you have all these avenues to make revenue. But yeah, what frustrates me is I kind of had this idea as a young person. I saw this already. And, you know, if my mom's out there watching, she'll get annoyed. But it was my mom was like, no, you're not going to do that. You need to go to college and do the 4-year degree. And why did she think that? Is, again, my mom and my dad, neither of them went to college. But she thought that for the same reason almost everyone thinks they need to go to college, because they're watching TV, because they're listening to the programming, and they're just doing what they're told, you know? My mom had no reason to think that I needed to go to college. She doesn't know anything about college herself. And you know, life's worked out fine for me because I've always had a good work ethic, which my mom also instilled in me. But yeah, the reason I say this to you young people is because, again, you do this, you'll be a lot more self-sufficient. You won't have debt weighing you down. Debt is essentially slavery. As long as you have debt, you need to keep working and grinding. Otherwise, that debt obligation just gets bigger and bigger as the interest builds up. But yeah, seriously, I mean, the future of breaking away from this tyranny is just less people complying with the system. When you're your own boss, it is a lot easier to not comply with the system. And don't let anyone tell you that not complying with the system is bad or evil or wrong. Those people are under severe mind control, and they think that they need to be a slave to this tyrannical government. So King Richard says college is a scam. In a lot of ways, it is. There's a few reasons to go to college, and again, those few reasons are if there's something you know you want to do that requires that degree. I mean, if you want to be a doctor, you're going to have to go to college. You know, if that's ultimately what you want to be, a veterinarian, one of these types of things, medical profession, you're going to have to go to college. But again, how many people have gone to college and never used their degree? I mean, that's the vast majority. And that should tell you everything right there about college. The vast majority of people never use their degree. Their degree might have helped them get a job, but they're working outside of what their education specialty is. Education, the college system is a big business, and that's why it's marketed to you. I'm sure it's been, you know, I haven't been in school for a while. I haven't taught since 2012, but from the time I was in school myself through the time I was, you know, finished teaching in 2012, you'd always have just, you know, you're always hearing the same message in the school. Go to college, go to college, go to college. If you want to be successful, go to college. And it's not true at all. You do not have to go to college to be successful. The one thing you have to do is work hard and have some discipline and know how to save money. These are the real keys to being successful. And yeah, it's just like, you know, also being in the right place can be helpful. My friend King Henry, you know, him and his wife, they lived up here in Yakima. But when COVID happened, his wife lost his job, and she was having a really difficult time finding work up here because it's a small town. So they ended up moving down to Las Vegas, where they had a friend who kind of helped them out with a place to stay. And they got down there and they just got on their own grind. And she just decided to put up an ad to clean homes. And again, maybe not everybody wants to clean homes, but that's another way to pay the bills, you know. Immediately, she had a job paying $30, $40 an hour just cleaning people's homes in Vegas. And I mean, anyone can clean a house, right? You would think. Well, I shouldn't say anyone. You might have a disability or something, but if you can get down on your knees and you can scrub and clean and make sure everything's shining, you can do that. And you know what? I'd say it's hard to get a job out of college, even with a 4-year degree that pays that much per hour. So that should tell you what you need to know about college right there. You can make more cleaning houses. And that's why my mom should have also known that, because she's cleaned houses her whole life. And what she eventually figured out is that if she cleaned wealthy people's houses, they pay a lot. And if you do a good job for one wealthy person, guess what? They live in a neighborhood full of other wealthy people. And here, Sweet Lady's coming here right now, but let me wrap it up. Truth Seeker and TFR tomorrow night, and I'll probably talk to you before then. Till next time.